Hello, warriors. Thanks for joining me again. I'm so glad you came back. So, before we begin, as usual, I have a few announcements. If you have not seen, we are actually going to start the food truck in Austin, Texas. I feel this is a little bit better place given the following that we already have there, the support system, the fact that we are already familiar with the area and some of the farmers around, etc., etc. So if you are interested and would like to help us start the food truck, it would be greatly appreciated. You can go here and find out a lot of information. As soon as I get to Austin, we're going to do a really nice update for you guys. All right. I think that's really it. So, this week we're talking about stress. And I know we've talked about stress before, but that was on the live stream talks on Facebook before I went all legit. So, we're going to talk about stress again because I feel it's such an important aspect in our, rat race of lives. We're always so busy. So, stress, some of us experience at some point or another. Most of us do. I'm pretty sure all of us do. But do you really know what it is? So stress is your body's response when it feels a threat. It's a defense mechanism and essentially a switch to the fight or flight mode. So your body's going to decide whether it needs to run away or whether it can handle fighting whatever's coming at it. So how does this happen? Well, when the body is sent into fight or flight mode, it releases a rush of hormones in its response, mainly adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine. These hormones rouse the body to basically a sense of emergency or awareness, most of the time both. So this is why you may feel or experience a rapid heart rate, the jitters, like your blood's rushing, or you might even be more awake. Body in response to fight or flight mode, protecting, or whether you need to run away to protect or fight. So it does, I always have to start over. I will cut that out. I get so tense. So, how does this happen? Well, when the body is sent into this fight or flight mode, it releases a rush of hormones. Those hormones most often include adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine. So these hormones then rouse the body to a sense of emergency and or awareness, hence the feelings of heart rate increasing, your muscles might tighten, your senses will even become a little bit sharper most of the time, and you might experience a shortness of breath or quickness of breath. So while a certain amount of stress is really actually good on the body and it can be beneficial, it actually does more harm than good, especially given the society that we live in nowadays, where the nervous system has trouble actually differentiating between an emotional threat and an actual physical threat, which is where the stress system actually comes in. That's where fight or flight is. It can't distinguish between your feelings being hurt, so your body's just immediately sent into, oh my gosh, there's a threat. So we live in a very high demand world, and as many of us experience high amounts of stress on a daily basis, unfortunately our bodies take the damage for this. So stress can cause many health risks and issues if you're not managing it right and keeping it under control and to as minimal as possible. Things such as suppressed appetite, so maybe you're not eating or maybe you're overeating, can also be another one. Your immune system will weaken, so you might get sick more often, come down with the flu or the cold more often, no matter what region you live in. Your entire body literally weakens with too much stress inside of it. Your reproductive system can actually take a toll as well. So I know having children can be stressful for a lot of people, because when I worked at the vitamin shop, I talked to people about it all the time. It's very stressful when you want to start a family, but if you're stressing out about it, you can damage your hormone reproductive system. It won't produce properly. The digestive system also gets hit with this. A lot of people develop IBS, even if it's for a little while. 30% of the population in the entire country experiences IBS at one point or another in their lives. And a lot of it is from being too stressed out. So it really takes a toll on there. You can also get very, very high raised blood pressure with too much stress and experiencing too much stress. There is a higher risk for strokes, for heart attacks, and it even speeds up the aging process. So ladies, bad news for us, because we hit our prime pretty early on, whereas men hit theirs later. So don't stress about it, or you're gonna look really old, and that's nothing that nobody wants. Stress also rewires the brain, which is definitely not a good thing. It's also been linked to depression, anxiety, insomnia, and even other mental related health issues. Cortisol can also build up, and eventually it is stored as fat inside of the body. Those areas around like the fat tire or your love handles, even thighs and ladies, that's where this comes from. Sometimes even the underneath of the arms. You can get blotchy skin. You can get acne, eczema. All of this can also be either exacerbated or created by being too stressed out. So a lot of the time you're going to know if you're in fact stressed out. But in the off chance that you think that you feel fine and you're like, hey, I'm feeling great, your body can still experience stress without you realizing it. You can have memory problems, maybe your focus is really poor, or you're getting brain fog more often than normal. You're anxious, or you have really racing thoughts. Continual worrying, even in situations where normally you wouldn't worry, you'd feel fine. Feelings of being overwhelmed, maybe you feel lonely or isolated, having some sort of sleep issues. You can get aches and pains in places that you don't want them. You can end up with diarrhea or constipation, which can also coincide with IBS. A loss of sex drive, frequent sickness, colds or flu, eating too much or eating too little. It's a very, very big side effect. So sometimes it's a nervous habit. You are stressed out. You don't think you are, but your body's like, hey, let's eat this or let's not eat this, and you don't eat all day long. It's not good for the body, man. Maybe an overuse of alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs, or even sex. There's such a thing. Moderation of everything. Maybe you have nervous habits, such as biting your nails. It's not good for your nail beds, man. Don't do it. You can end up with really, really split, dry nails. Don't do it. So when you're experiencing stress, you want to use caution that if you feel that your stress has worsened, it's good to take the day off. Go take a hike, maybe exercise. It seems like such a daunting task, but the amount of good chemicals that your body releases on its own can end up counterbalancing the chemicals that stress hormones release when you get sent into that fight or flight mode. So dopamine, serotonin, even oxytocin can release in the system, and those actually combat and fight off your norepinephrine, your cortisol, and your adrenaline, and making them lower again so that your body's not tensed and stressed out so that it can relax. So, we have a lot of things nowadays that can cause us stress. Some of these things we may not realize, but most of them I'm sure we do. And they are major life changes, can cause a lot of stress in one's body and one's mind. Maybe you're having some issues at your job, or school's become a little overwhelmed. If you have a big test coming up, try your best not to stress about it, because you actually will in fact do better. You're going to retain your information better, you're going to be able to focus on your studying better, and you're going to be able to remember and recollect the information that you taught yourself or that you learned in class or a lecture to actually pass your test. So it's more beneficial if you don't cram overnight and take your time and really don't stress over it. So there's a lot going on in your life, but that doesn't mean that you can't be stress-free or as close to stress-free as possible. I'm not sure there's such thing as stress-free, but there are some things that you can do to help manage these levels of stress in your life. One of the best ways, and of course I'm going to mention this, is exercise. I don't care if you go to a gym, I don't care if you're out active doing hiking or cycling or mountain biking or rock climbing. As long as you're active, you are releasing those good hormones that make you happy, that your body needs to be balanced. It is one of the best things that you can do, along with getting outside or play with a dog. Same thing, man. So remember two things though. Nothing worthwhile comes easy or overnight. So you can't go into the gym or get active and change your diet and a week later think that all of a sudden all your worries are going to go away. This is a lifestyle, and you have to make your own choices. Nobody's going to make them for you. That includes what you allow to stress you out. Some of the happiest or virtually most stress-free people that I've ever met actually are gym rats, and it's because they don't let a lot of things bother them, and they exercise so much so they're constantly happy, which is great. Exercise releases endorphins such as dopamine and serotonin. This affects not only your mood, but it also affects your cognitive function. So if you want to get rid of that brain fog, go exercise. Imagine with a sharper focus and a smile on your face, like how much you can get accomplished and how much better your day is going to be. Smiles are contagious. You're going to make someone else's day better, along with being at a minimal stress level. So I am also constantly asked how I stay so happy and smiling all the time. And this is actually a massive contributing factor, is the fact that I exercise every day. I do yoga, I do meditation, I do go lift weights still. It is a really good stress management technique, and it's actually one of the least expensive. Gyms can be low as $10, and it doesn't matter how much equipment you have or where you go. As long as you're getting it in, you're still doing some good to your body. So, on to our next our next stress management. Food, it's not just a diet. It should be viewed also as fuel and as medicine for your body, because if you're eating the wrong things, you're going to affect your mood, you're going to affect your stress levels, you're going to affect your digestive system. You can see all that in my previous talk about probiotics. We go over quite a bit. You need certain things in order for your digestive system and your stomach to communicate with your brain in order to produce the right hormones to make you happy. Food makes a difference in your stress levels as well. In 2016, studies showed that 8% of the US population meditated and meditates on it daily. These studies also showed that 8% were less stressed and more successful in their daily lives and at work. Meditation comes in so many forms. You don't have to just sit there and cross your legs and clear your mind. It's so much more simple than that. You can still do breathing techniques where you watch your thoughts just kind of come in front of you. You breathe on them for a couple of seconds, and then you let them just float away. Don't think further on them, just let them go for the moment. It's so much better to take a few minutes to step back from a situation that you might be frustrated about that is starting to stress you out. It helps to see a bigger picture. That way you know exactly what you're looking at. Meditation not only lowers stress, but it's also going to help lower your blood pressure, which is a side effect of being extremely stressed or stressed at all. It lowers your risks for stroke and for heart attacks. It helps sharpen your focus, and your cognitive functions increase as well. It also aids in stress management, which is why you should do it. You don't have to sit there for hours. Just give it 10 minutes, breathe, and try to let your thoughts just pass in front of you. It is one of the easiest ways. There are a lot of YouTube channels that are actually really good, and you want to find one with a good voice that is relaxing for you, that takes you through the breathing motions. It's super easy to follow. You can even do it at work, especially if you have a desk job. That's one of the best places to be able to do meditation, is if you have an office job. I know how stressful those can be. I've been there. So there's a few ways for you to hopefully help get you motivated in trying to get your stress levels under control. I know it's not an overnight thing, but it takes time, so just remember that. And if you want instant gratification, go get your hair done. There's some wonderful instant gratification. It always makes me feel great about myself. Be consistent. Don't do something for a week or a few days or even a month and then turn around and say, hey, this didn't work. You have to be consistent. It's not a race. Include your kids, man. Children need stress management as well. We think that kids don't have a lot of stress, but they do. They go to school, they have homework. Learning is stressful. Trying to make new friends is stressful. Learning social norms is stressful, man. Include your kids, make them exercise, help them eat right, teach them to listen to their bodies, teach them how to manage their stress, teach them how to interact with other beings so that their stress levels stay low. Same with you. There is so much that you can do outside of these few things to help manage your stress. The biggest thing is you got to stay positive, and you have to stay optimistic, and you have to believe in yourself more than anyone else. It will come in due time. You will slowly see that every day you're waking up happier and less stressed than before. And remember, it's lifestyle, not a destination. I'll see you guys on the next talk in 2 weeks, where more than likely I will be coming to you from the wilderness, since I am going to live in a tent. See you then. Stay healthy, warriors.